There are loads of people on the right in podcasting who are not remotely interested in the truth.
You've been making friends with Tucker Carlson.
I've always been friends with Tucker Carlson. In fact, I've been on Tucker Carlson's show a couple of times when he was on Fox.
Mm-hmm. What happened recently?
I'm trying to think what exactly happened. Oh, what happened was the last time he had me on his show, I said to his producer, why don't we have a discussion about Ukraine? Because I don't agree with Tucker and I think it would be great and we'd have a great discussion. Because what Tucker was doing at that point is just putting out blatant lies about Ukraine. Just outright, complete, just the opposite of the truth on a number of issues. And I was like, why don't we have a debate? It would be great. And they were like, no. Basically, like it was communicated to me that if we had a debate in which we disagreed, I'd be banned from the show, basically.
This was when he was on Fox?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And since then, I wrote an article after he went to Russia called Tucker Carlson and the Woke Right, in which I basically made a fairly complex but I think important argument that there's a fringe of the right that is becoming like the woke left in some ways, an obsession with identity, an obsession with identity-based victimhood, the desire to like destroy people that don't agree instead of engaging in genuine debate, all of these things. And I don't think he took well to that. And particularly, you know, his interview with Daryl Cooper and describing him as the most honest and best historian in America, I just thought was irresponsible and stupid. But apparently he's called me out. Like, I'm not interested in ego games. I criticize people for things that they do, and I praise people for things that they do. Whether people like me or I like him is just irrelevant to me.
Is the right, especially sort of cultural commentary right, fracturing in a novel or interesting way at the moment?
Yeah, I think so. I think, well, look, every big discussion topic that comes along splits people in new ways, right? I don't know if you've noticed this. So there was, broadly speaking, like an anti-woke coalition. Mm-hmm. And then the war in Ukraine came along.
Well, that was a large umbrella, right?
Yeah.
That was a big sort of global...
And it's sort of held, right?
Yeah, that was a big global organization.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then the war in Ukraine came along. And before that, there was COVID. They came along kind of simultaneously, right? You had COVID, then you had Ukraine, and
I think, just to interject, I think most people that were probably anti-woke would have also had the same sort of opinion around COVID. So that might have ossified. Well,
there's slivers to that, right? Because there was my position, which is if you're really vulnerable, you probably should get vaccinated. And I don't think vaccines are the root of all evil, generally speaking.
Niche position.
But government authoritarianism really is a big problem. And by the way, all the evidence shows the virus came from a lab.
Unnecessarily complex. Don't need to
right. That's one position. The other position, this is like, what was it? What do they call it? The hoax-demic or whatever. What was it called?
I don't know. I missed this.
Or
deleted it.
There's a lot of people think that it was like, anyway.
Right.
There's that. Then the one Ukraine came along. And that's when the really big split happened. Then you have Israel and Gaza, and you're going to have the next thing going along yet again. So every single time something happens, it splits left and right along different lines.
I mean, even with this Trump's success or failure that we've seen in, 8 months of his term so far.
So the strikes on Iran were very interesting in terms of the splitting.
Is it warmongering? Is it defending? Is it supporting Israel? Is it...
Well, it's not even about Israel. I just think there's a section of the right, for very understandable reasons, especially in America, which is following Iraq, Afghanistan, and probably even Vietnam, is like any conflict is automatically something to be avoided, which if you want to run a global empire isn't really going to work, but it is a very, like, it appeals to the heart, kind of like war is bad. Well, of course war is bad. Everyone agrees on that. The question is, do you want the mullahs in Iran to have access to a nuclear weapon? I think not, right? And what was interesting, what happened there was a lot of these people had a panic attack, basically. The Tucker Carlsons, the Dave Smith, Smith called for Trump to be impeached, right? Ultimately, Trump basically styled it out and was proven completely right by all the events. So that was another one. Then there's Epstein, and then you just... So my point is, all the different issues are going to come and go, and people are going to split in all their different ways. And what I think is really important to do for everybody within that, I hope, is to actually seek the truth of each issue on its own merit, as opposed to going, what's the tribe that I belong to?
Especially given that the right accuses the left of doing this sort of absolutionist, puritanical exclusionary groupthink, where if you don't adhere to 100% of the things that we agree with, then you're not even a part of the tribe anymore. So yeah, I mean, how much of this is just when you're inside of the tent pissing out? It's way less sort of revolutionary, and it doesn't feel like there's much attention on you, and you need to come up with ways to be a little bit more relevant?
Maybe, I don't know. For me, the reason I criticize people on left and right for saying and doing things that I don't agree with is I think that's what a healthy society and a healthy debate looks like. Like, I don't have to agree with Tucker and everything. I thought during the summer of BLM, he was the funniest comedian on TV. The way he was satirizing what was happening was amazing, right? But when he says dumb shit about Ukraine, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's true while my family are 30 kilometers from the front line being bombed, right? I'm not going to sit here and go, oh yeah, well I agree with Tucker Carlson on this, and he's had me on his show, and he's a big personality who'll probably criticize me, therefore I'll pretend it's all true. Well, it's not going to happen. And it's the same on every other issue. So if Tucker Carlson starts saying things that I think are really important and valid, I will be the first to praise him, and that applies to everybody, and vice versa.
Yeah, not even specifically around Tucker. I have found it interesting to observe what's happened to the right, the internet right, over the last 12 months. And it's also, you're right, Ukraine, Russia, Gaza, Trump, the wobbles, big wobbles, some small wobbles, some big wobbles since he's been in, Epstein. It's starting to...
And there's more to come.
It's like pizza slice cutter.
The other thing is, once you've won the election, particularly in the overwhelming fashion that they did in America, and he's governing in quite a swashbuckling style when it comes to dealing with a lot of things. For the right-wing media, like they really are struggling to get the numbers that they'd got used to, because it's like, well, you're going to beat up on the Democrat. I mean, he's already dead. You know that meme, stop, he's already dead. Yeah, like that's where the Democrats
what I mean about the inside of the tent pissing out. It's just way less cool. It doesn't seem punk.
Which is why I always try and encourage people in new media not to become what the legacy media became, which then necessitated the creation of new media.
Predictable.
Right. Predictable, obsessed about personality. Tucker Carlson calls out. It's like, who gives a shit? Right? All of this stuff is irrelevant. What I'm interested in is, what is the truth of this? What is the truth of Ukraine and Russia? What is the truth of Israel and Palestine? How does that get solved? How can we bring on someone to talk about the reality? We had Benjamin Netanyahu on, very controversial, but we actually pushed him more than any interview he's done since the war started, because we're trying to get to the truth of things. That's what we should be doing. That's the unique opportunity we have in the new media. That's the point, right? And it's frustrating that to watch this medium that I thought was the antidote to all that bullshit become the bullshit.
Oh, you think...
I naively thought that this was going to be the antidote, yeah.
Do you think that is likely to be a trajectory that it follows? I'm aware that you don't have a crystal ball, but what do you think the future of sort of new media in that way looks like?
Look, I am always very skeptical whenever anyone accuses of being audience captured. Like, people say, oh, this person's been captured by their audience. But we also can't pretend as content creators on the internet that there are not pressures, if you want to get more clicks, make more money, etc., to produce particular types of content that the person who's producing it might not even at the outset necessarily agree with. And I think it takes a strong focus on something else other than clicks and money to avoid that pitfall. And so what I'm saying is, like, did you become a content creator to be famous and make money? Because I didn't, right? I thought there was like important conversations to be had. I thought there were people to interview that had things to offer the world. I thought that political debates were becoming 3 seconds here, 10 seconds there, and you never learn anything. So why don't we do that? Like that is what I think new media has the opportunity to do in a way that legacy media has simply ceased doing. And if we spend all our time just discussing these fringe moronic things because it's like the fastest way to the bottom of the brainstem, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's like, and people always go, well, don't criticize other people, just make different content. Okay, well, some things are just not good for people, right? So if you turn every political discussion into a kind of Jerry Springer, I don't think you are doing a service to humanity. And I don't think people will still click on it, a lot of them, but they'll walk away from it the way they walk away from having a fast food meal. Like you eat it and then you feel bad, you know? So I just hope more people recognize they have an opportunity to either do something good or to do something very bad at scale and actually think about that.